Everybody, I want to welcome you here to the Harvard Innovation Lab. My name is Gordon Jones. I'm the managing director here, and we're thrilled to be hosting what great work Domonique has put into today's event with collaboration with Professor Elberse. For those of you that are not familiar with the Harvard Innovation Lab, this is a cross-university resource here at Harvard for students from around the university who have ideas, projects, ventures that they want to take forward, and they want to access resources that are put together by this university in collaboration with friends of Harvard to help those individuals with those projects, ventures, and ideas take them as far as they can go. And again, we're thrilled you're here. We're thrilled to be able to host this great event. And again, thanks Domonique for collaborating. With that, I want to introduce Professor Anita Elberse. Professor Anita Elberse is from Harvard Business School, working in sport, media, and entertainment. Of particular note, there's a lot that Professor Elberse has done, but of particular note, there is a case on the NFL that she teaches on and wrote that is of particular interest. So with that, I'm going to step aside and hand it over to you, Professor Elberse, and thanks for everyone for being here.
Right, thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. I hope you can all hear me. I've never quite seen so many people. I'm assuming you're all here for me, and I do appreciate it. We have 4 other people here, so let me make sure that I introduce them too. At the very end of the, let me just start there, we have the youngest of the 4, actually, at age 26, cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks.
LOB. Yes.
Proving the saying that if you win, you have a lot of friends. The current Super Bowl champion, having played an instrumental role defeating the Denver Broncos, of course, we all remember that. Selected by the Seahawks in the 5th round of the 2011 NFL Draft, having played college football at Stanford. I was going to say I had never.
Jeez, you can't get any cheers for me? Why that face?
And also at Stanford, a track star, which people might not know, specializing in long jump and triple jump and running the 110-meter hurdles. He's a Pro Bowler. He is Tom Brady's biggest fan, and he is sure to become the highest-paid corner in the NFL sometime soon. If the latest news is to be believed, we're all waiting to figure out exactly by how much. Please welcome Richard Sherman. Sitting next to Richard is Domonique Foxworth. He is actually the man that made this all possible. So let's give him a round of applause for that first. Domonique played college football for the University of Maryland, was drafted by the Denver Broncos, also played for the, no love for the Broncos. Nothing.
Or Maryland.
Also played for the Atlanta Falcons. In 2009, he signed a 4-year, $28 million contract with the Baltimore Ravens.
Talk about his money. Talk about it.
You're going to get me robbed after this. Good, you at Harvard, man.
And
you get robbed anywhere.
He, in 2007, was elected by the Broncos as an NFL Player Association player representative. The following year, he became the youngest player to become vice president of the Players Association's executive committee, and in 2012, he was elected president of that organization, a role he served until March of this year. In May 2012, he also announced that he was coming to the Harvard Business School, and he actually followed through on that promise and was enrolled in his RC year, his first year here this past year. He has no idea what's going to hit him when he gets into the second year. Please welcome Domonique. Sitting next to Domonique is a wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals, played college football for the University of Pittsburgh. These 2 people are the people you brought. Noted. They chose him with the 3rd overall pick in the 2004 NFL Draft. He has played his entire professional career for the team, selected for the Pro Bowl 8 times, and ranks 5th all time in NFL history in receiving yards per game for his career, 76 yards per game. Last year, at 30 years and 85 days of age, he became the youngest NFL receiver to reach 11,000 receiving yards in his career, surpassing the previous record holder, Randy Moss, who we all know here, of course. And not to throw around more numbers, but he signed an 8-year, $120 million contract.
There it is. There's the big one.
Please welcome.
Anita.
Please welcome Larry Fitzgerald.
Turn the lights down some.
The earrings, I'm told, are worth $5 million each. Grab them while you can. And then right next to me is a running back for the Houston Texans, played college football for the University of Tennessee, signed by the Texans as an undrafted free agent in 2009, added to the active roster from the practice squad in November of that year, holds the Texas franchise records for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. It's hard to forget his 231-yard, 3-touchdown 2010 opening day performance against the Colts. Thank you for that. We appreciated that one particularly. A 3-time Pro Bowler, he's considered to be the best running back in the Houston, Texas, albeit short history, but still quite impressive. And in March 2012, he signed a new 5-year deal worth only $43.5 million. He also, and he's going to be making a lot more money doing that, is going to be a film star, or is a film star, starring in Kevin Costner's Draft Day, which is in theaters now, and you should all go see it. Please welcome Arian Foster. So that is truly astonishing performance on the field, and we can talk about that for quite some time. But actually, the goal for today is to talk about what they do off the field, more than what they do on the field. As Domonique puts it in his description of the panel, levering their social capital. I still have no idea what social capital actually means, but we're just going to run with that and see if we could get a discussion going. So as a first question to you all, so feel free to jump in no particular order. Because of those tremendous achievements on the field, you've built up extremely strong brands, strong social media presences. You have an audience that you can command. How do you think about using those brands or using that social capital for good causes?
Well, me personally, I started in 2008. I opened my first Twitter and Facebook accounts, and my brother had been urging me to do it for quite some time, and I was like, Marcus, I don't want to get involved in all this social stuff, this social media. What is this? He kept pushing me, and I decided finally to do it, and it was one of the better decisions I was able to make. It just gave me such an unbelievable platform to reach the people that were supporting me, and also I could talk about some of the endeavors and things and causes that were important to me. So it gave me unbelievable relationship and partnership with people. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of companies and affiliations that I've made in the last few years, just going through my social media. So it was a great venture for me, and now I'm hovering right around 2 million followers on Twitter and a little bit over 1 million in Facebook, and so it's been great for me.
It's funny because I'm kind of a big deal with my couple thousand followers at HBS. I got like 25,000, and my classmates think I'm cool. I bring you guys and embarrass me, but I think Arian is interesting. I follow all you guys and read, and all you guys have interesting things to say, but I am often struck by Arian because I'm not sure. I guess I'd ask you if it's some of the things that you put on there are very kind of intellectual and highbrow. I'm not sure if that's my question for you that I wanted to ask you is that a planned thing, or is it just like you put on there stuff that you're thinking about, or are you like preconceived, like this is who I want to be, this is how I want people to view me, rather than just like how people see you as like a big bruising running back?
That's a good question. I feel like at first I was very cognizant of who I wanted to be, to the public and for the public. So I wanted to be, a well-spoken athlete. I wanted to be known as this, that, and the other. And then as I kind of started growing through my career, personally and social media-wise, I kind of stopped caring about public perception, honestly. And I really felt like, because I follow a lot of athletes on Twitter, and I don't not to knock what they do, I understand why they do it. But as athletes and celebrities, it's very, I don't get a real sense for who that person is. And I feel like that's what social media is to, like anybody that just opens up a Twitter account can get to view my thoughts. And I feel like that's a very powerful message. And so, honestly, the things I put on there it's me. I can range from, I'm very interested in astrophysics, like that intrigues me, and then also like I talk badly about the NCAA on a daily basis, or I appreciate you guys appreciating that. Or I just range from subjects from whatever's going on in our culture at the time, rap, whatever. I come from in inner city, in the urban community, and that's always in me. So some of my language out there isn't the best, but everybody cusses, everybody does that. I just feel like you should be who you are, and I've found that people accept you for who you are much more than you put it on a facade of this perfect little human being that everybody wants an athlete to be.
Yeah, like he said, you can use the social media however you like. I use it for numerous reasons and a variety of things. Whether it's giving information or receiving information, or getting opinions about certain things, but also bringing attention to certain philanthropy endeavors. People just want to know so much about your life. You can put yes on your thing, and it could be the same day as a tragic event, and they'll be like, "Oh, you just supported the terrorists." Yeah. It's like, well, I just said a word. I said one word. So it can be taken so many different ways, and you have to always be cognizant and aware of how your words can affect people and how it can be viewed, and how it can affect your brand, because brand awareness is something that you should always be aware of. And like you said, you can only be yourself because everybody else is taken. So you can't try to make up stuff and to say, oh, I'm going to try to be this clean cut. If that's who you are, you're clean cut, simple, straight and narrow guy, then, you can be that. But not everybody's that person. So you can use the social media for so many different things. I'm close to 1 million. I'm not 2 million like Big Fitz yet,
We all want to be like Larry.
Everybody, if I could be like Larry when I grow up, I would do everything I could. But you can use it for so many different things. You can give so much information, but you can also receive information. If you pay attention enough, you can start to get a feel for how your brand is doing, the opinions of others, how people, judge your suit. What people think about your shoes, what people think, and all that information is valuable. It's social capital. It's something that you can turn into monetary value, something that you can turn into capital. You can gain money, you can gain followers. Companies will pay you to tweet support of their company. I don't get paid for gushers, but I tweet them every day. But they send me a bunch of gushers. They probably send me $1 million for gushers. And you can use that platform and say, oh man, I love my Gucci shoes, and Gucci will pay you $50,000, or depending on how many followers you have and how much power, because followers are power in social media. Apparently, that's what I'm learning. I'm learning as we go. But the more followers you have, the more power, the greater your reach, and the greater your reach is, the more monetary value and capital that you have in yourself.
I'm gonna call gushers for you after this, because
I appreciate that,
because they're getting off easy, sending you sugar in exchange for promoting them. They got you.
And thank you for explaining social capital there. I really appreciate that. And that was quite useful. But you can use that power that you have because of your brand in two broad ways, right? You can say, I'm going to try to make as much money as I can using endorsements and other more commercial opportunities. Or you can say, I'm going to try it to do good. That is not necessarily leading to more money for me or even any benefits, or maybe exposes me to risk. And it looks like all four of you have made a very conscious choice to go for those good causes. Is that a conscious choice, and how do you look at that choice? Is there a trade-off between going for those more commercial opportunities and these good causes, or can they go together?
I think they kind of, they coincide. I feel like the more and more followers you have, the more opportunities you get, like for monetary gain and things like that. But for me personally, it wasn't necessarily a conscious choice. I didn't get on Twitter to try to get endorsement deals. I really got on Twitter just to like connect with the fans that I had, and that's something I kind of still hold true with. Today I'll interact with fans. A lot of people have business people or like marketing teams tweeting for them or Facebooking for them. I tweet for myself, so I'm interacting with fans, and that's the main thing. I just wanted to connect with people because I still think I was an undrafted free agent. So I had to work my way up into being, a high caliber professional athlete. So I still know the feeling of connecting with the fans. The first time I walked into a stadium and I saw somebody with my jersey on, that is still a surreal feeling to me. I'm not too far removed from that. So I like to connect with fans. I like to have fun with them. They talk trash to me. I talk trash to them. It's not that serious to me. It's fun. You get to interact with people. I think the main thing I love about Twitter is I can disagree with people and do it very. It doesn't have to be so combative. It's like we disagree, but it's just you get to see other people's vantage points. I've connected with people in real life that just from Twitter. I bought art from up and coming artists and things like that where I would have never came across their work. So to me it's just personal. It's very personable to me. You can connect with anybody.
I think you can definitely use it, but there is some downfall to it because you get stretched after a while. Even philanthropy can be stretched. You support so many causes, and then people want you to donate to so many causes, and you could only donate to so many causes, and if you don't answer to this person, then that means you don't support their cause, and if you answer to this person, don't answer to this person, then you don't support theirs, but you support theirs. So I think there's a middle ground there that you have to waver in. And I respond too, but every time I respond to somebody, I make it on ESPN, and they get mad. They say, "Oh man, he's a trash talker. Look at him trash talking everybody." But that's the one downfall of Twitter, is because you can interact with people and interact, but they can say everything they want to say, no consequence. Yeah. They can say, racial remarks. They can say they hate you. They can say you're terrible. You're this. You're that. But if you, I lost power. If you respond in any way, that or brings a negative light, regardless of what they said, regardless if they said you're the worst person in the world and they hate you and they wish you would die a terrible death. If you just say, well, I wish the same for you, and you're the guy. And that's one of the downfalls of Twitter. That's one of the pitfalls and something that people don't understand the way they should, is that there's always two sides to the coin. That's why it shows the reply. That's why it shows the other message. But people look at athletes like they should speak above people, that we should always be above reproach. And why should we? Why should we be above reproach? Why shouldn't you be above reproach and not speak to a person that way without consequence? If you don't have consequence, then why should I?
I think it's fair. To have the same expectations of people in general. It's a broader topic. We're all people. We all should have the same respect for one another and have the same expectations for one another. But to Anita's original question, I definitely think that whether we know it or not, there's a cost of making the statements that we make, and there's an actual monetary cost, because you become, as much as you try to portray the true you on Twitter, it's still 140 characters. and no one actually knows exactly who you are. They make assumptions, and it's very easy. I think it's human nature that you kind of want to have one story, and like Richard's story is he's like a shit-talking thug. It's like what people want to think about him, and so that's the story. So no matter what comes out, that's the story, and whatever he says, it's like, no, maybe he just got mad for 1 second. We've all been mad and said things. So I feel like while people want to make this one story about you, they don't want to know all your stories, or it's a limited opportunity to learn who you actually are. If you make a 140 character message, that could prohibit you from, so like Arian's very outspoken about the NCAA, and I'm pretty outspoken about NCAA also. Arian, being the movie star that he is, I produced a documentary about called Schooled, about the exploitation of NCAA. Arian was one of our people in the film, and so Arian's never going to get invited back to Tennessee to do like an autograph signing. Lots of players go back to their school, do autograph signing for tens of thousands of dollars. So whether he sat down and made that choice or not, I mean, I think it's commendable that you
One day I will, I promise. I promise. I feel like we look
we'll get over the hill.
Yeah, we look at NCAA. Not to delve into that, I just want to touch on that real quick. But like we look at the NCAA athletes right now. I feel like we're gonna look at it like the 19th Amendment, like when we gave women's rights to vote. Like we're gonna look at it like, what the hell were we thinking in the first place? Like we don't pay these kids for and sooner or later I'm gonna be looked at like as a martyr instead of a villain.
I'm with you.
But I mean, there's a cost to that. So I mean, right now you go to like, I think it was Dick Vitale who like insulted you for standing up for the kids, and like it's something that I stand up for. It's like, and people turn against you for making that. So whether you sit down and have this cost-benefit analysis or not, there is a cost to being brave enough to make those stances. And like you mentioned the 19th Amendment, I think gay rights is also something that falls in that category, and that's something that I'm personally outspoken about. And you get all the Twitter backlash of people calling you all kinds of names, and you can't fight back. And then there are companies and politicians and a number of people who you want to make contact with, or you think that there could be some collaboration with, who want no part, want nothing to do with you. So whether we all realize it or not, there's a cost to making these overtures about major issues and trying to present the person that you are. People never really know who you are. They just kind of make a caricature of you in their mind and decide that's who you are, which, I mean, I think even coming to business school was a big step for me. Like, I'm obviously not a celebrity to the point that these guys are, but it was important to me to come here because I think it's part of telling more than just like my one story. I was a football player, like I was, but I'm more than that, and I want people to know. And I think that that's a good image. That the reason why I chose to call these three guys is because I think that a lot of young people look at us or look at them. Nobody's looking at me, but they look at them and say, like, I want to be just like this guy. But again, the only story that they get is that one story. Like Larry's can catch the ball really well and run really fast. And so then the young people are focused on like, well, let me catch the ball and run really fast. They don't understand the commitment that Larry has to equal rights and to missions in Africa. Like that's more. And Arian's desire to know more about astrophysics, like I don't know why I don't know why he cares, but I think it's important that he cares, and I think it's important that young people know that he cares.
Yes, let's go into astrophysics. Why do you...
Higgs boson, that's all I know.
Talk about it.
No, but these are interesting examples, right? So we talk about the NCAA and your involvement and what that is to you as a personal cost. You talk about your fight for equality, Domonique. Richard, you had a bit of a controversy on your hands with the NFC Championship game, which you seem to turn into try to turn into a very healthy debate around the word thug. So again, maybe not necessarily the best of beginnings, but trying to push for a good cause. How do you look back at that whole episode now?
Well, I mean, I look at it the same way I always have. I don't regret anything about it. I think people that, it takes no courage at all to criticize, to be a critic. It takes no courage. It takes more courage to go against the grain and speak your mind and go against people's, opinions, and people go against the majority's thought. And in that moment, judgment happened. People judge. People judge off, knee-jerk reaction. Oh man, he's that kind of guy. That's it. Doesn't matter what he's done in his life, who he's helped, who he is as a person. It's football field, it's sport, it's a game. He won. He said he won. He said he's the best. He's terrible. He's a terrible guy. He hasn't committed a crime. He hasn't hurt anybody. He hasn't touched anybody. But he's terrible. He's one of the worst. He's worse than a criminal. And once people start to say that, and once again, Twitter was a great barometer and a great measuring stick for what people's opinions were, and because they can direct it straight at you, they can no consequence, they can say whatever they want, and it really took us back to where we are at this day and age, and race relations and class and people said I had no class, and what is class in sports? What exactly is it? Do I say great game and go cookie cutter, sit in the box? Oh, great game. They played a great game. No, I don't think he played a great game. Now, there is some class to be had. If it was Larry and we just played Larry and the same situation happened, I wouldn't have said a thing. I would have said it was great competition between two great competitive teams, and I would have said cookie cutter because I respect Larry. That's respect. That's a personal respect. I mean, that's there. You don't judge someone off of their opinion of someone else or what they say, or you judge someone off of that, and you take away everything they've done their whole life. What do you get? I can judge everyone off a bad moment. I can judge everyone in this room off a bad moment, one of your worst moments, catch it on tape. Say, oh man, that's what kind of person they are. I can judge every person in the world off a bad moment. Say that's the kind of person they are. And that's what people try to do. But they threw the thug on there. I felt like, because I was African American, I haven't heard a Caucasian called a thug yet. An Asian called a thug. I've heard some Hispanics called thugs. But just keeping it honest with you.
I think this is, and I guess I'm kind of promoting the afternoon session, but I think we'll talk a lot more about these type of issues during the afternoon session. But I'm really proud. That event was part of what motivated me to start calling these guys to bring them here, because the comparison that comes to mind when someone is willing to work their entire life to get to a special, like this moment of their own personal glory. Richard was there, he said something, people reacted, and rather than taking their reaction and going cookie cutter mold and then standing and taking your glory, he took that opportunity and as a sacrifice of himself to force us to have a real conversation, which I think is incredibly commendable. And I think that's part of today's modern athlete. I think a lot of what, and again, this will probably be covered in the later talk at Seaver Hall, but I think a lot of what our athletes are today is more like the athletes of the 60s and the 70s, and especially the black athletes of that age, like John Carlos and Tommy Smith. They worked their entire life to win that sprint and on the medal stand, rather than basking in the glory of their achievement. They put up the fist and let everyone know that there was a problem. And they got sent home and got their gold medals taken and not allowed to participate in the Olympics going forward. Now, obviously, Richard's sacrifice wasn't nearly that big, but I think it's still a huge sacrifice because he could have been the media darling, but instead he forced us to take a look at ourselves. And I think it goes on to issues with the Deshaun Jackson stuff. And I'm really proud of that. And I think everyone up here has taken stances like that puts you in a tough spot, but you do it because, and I can't speak for you guys, but I like to think that you're making a conscious decision. Like, I know that I'm making this sacrifice, and that's commendable. I'm really proud of that. I wish that I had done it more when I was a player. I did it a lot towards the end of my career, and I've done it a lot more now, but the costs are a lot lower now. No one cares. Less people care when guys like Richard, he's the best corner in the game, and that's obvious, and it was in the biggest game of the year, and he's at the Super Bowl press conference, not talking about blocking and tackling, but talking about how our society speaks and treats individuals based on, and I think there's roots of that in the Trayvon Martin thing. There's roots of that all over our society, and I think it's really commendable that so many of our athletes are willing to take that sacrifice to help shape our future going forward.
I think that was, I personally watched that whole fiasco. I was enamored with the entire situation, but it's like I don't understand how a man that just think about when you're a little kid playing football in your backyard or whatever, and you make the game-winning play to send your team to the Super Bowl. Like, how emotional would you be? Like, I know I would be like extremely emotional. So whatever comes out after that comes out. Like, who cares? Like, he just made one of the biggest plays of his life, of anybody's life. And like, we're sitting here talking about a thug. If you call Richard Sherman a thug, you have never seen a thug. Period. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not, you know, that's not to like discount your street credibility. It's just that, like, you know, when you grow up in like some of the circumstances we grew up in, like those guys live and die by the street corner that they stand on, like their values, and they put it somewhere else. Like, this man is it just blew my entire mind. But like what Domonique said, it's like, to have those discussions in Super Bowl media, that's huge. Because like, I don't really care how I'm viewed today, or how an athlete is viewed today. Just as long as we get that conversation started, as long as people are talking about it. So like, my stance against the NCAA, I don't really care how you feel about me, but if we're talking about it, then I feel like I fulfilled my purpose as an individual, you know, in moving forward and growth for the, you know, collegiate athletes. And I feel like the athlete today, I think that was a big step towards us, because it got us to look, you know, a little deeper into the issues of why we call people thugs in the first place, and why there are thugs in the first place, and what are they thugging for? Like, that's a whole nother conversation, but like, I just talking about it and bringing it up.
Save it for Seaver.
Yeah, my bad, man. But it's great.
But it is a prejudice that you guys are fighting all the time, right? If we did an analysis of what ESPN broadcasters would say on air, I'm assuming that white athletes get a lot more intelligent or poised or professional or smart than black athletes. Is that something that you feel you're fighting all the time, and does it affect how you make choices?
I believe so. If you look at the NFL, it consists of 65 to 70% African Americans. It is predominantly a sport that is played by minorities, but you see how some of the Caucasian players are treated and how they're talked about, as opposed to some of the African American players are talked about. I'll just go to the quarterback position. I mean, years back, Donovan McNabb, we watch him, and the way they would criticize him would be totally different than they would criticize Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. The decision he made to throw this interception, it had nothing to do with his intelligence, or it was a play, you know what I mean? As opposed to Tom Brady throwing an interception, that was just a great play by the defensive player. That was a dumb throw by Donovan McNabb, but it doesn't correlate, it doesn't make sense to me. But just in terms of watching sports and being around it my entire life, my dad was a journalist, still is a journalist for the last 35 years, so I've seen how players, especially African American players, are viewed based on their actions every single day, and it's not fair always. It's not.
I think this time of year is especially good because it's like draft time, and you get to hear everybody critique the college players. And quarterback is always an interesting one where and not just quarterback, all the players, the black players are like super athletic. He's a freak. He's a monster on the field. And the white players are like, he works hard. He's gritty. He's a tough guy.
Call him high motor guy.
He's a high motor guy. He's cerebral. Like, he picks, like, it's amazing, and you see that where, and even when they always do the comparison, it was a joke. When I was getting ready for the draft, I would read those draft magazines. I shouldn't have been reading them, but you go through the list of players. They normally, when they evaluate a player, they put like 3 or 4 players that they're like in the league, and I can't imagine that the black players that there aren't black players who are similar to white players, or white players who are similar to black players. Like, it seems like they go out of their way to make sure that they compare a black quarterback to a black quarterback. It's like offensive linemen, they have to make sure they find the couple black tackles in the league and say, like, yeah, that guy's just like him. It's not, I don't know that it's conscious. It's part of our culture. It's a latent prejudice that we all susceptible to.
And also, it's almost the angry black man syndrome that they give, especially football players. I couldn't imagine if there was a huge brawl on the football field, what the resonation would be around the world, what the consequences would be, what the comments would be. There was just a huge brawl in baseball, huge brawl. I haven't heard about it since.
Hockey, they fight every day.
Hockey, they fight every game. There was a game where they broke a record. They slapped the puck away with 2 seconds. 2 seconds into the game and went at it.
Threw the gloves down.
I could not imagine.
Everybody thought that was funny.
Everybody thought it was funny. They were like, "Oh man, that's good hockey."
And the refs skate. Exactly. And the refs skate around them just watching them. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if we fight, it's like those animals out there.
They're monkeys. Look at them.
And then on Saturday, they're gonna order the Floyd Mayweather fight. Like, it's just like you watching fighting all the time. It's like athletes competing. Like,
exactly. But they look at it different. They look at it differently, and that's the frustrating part. Is the double standard, the triple standard, the way an athlete is viewed, a way African American athlete is viewed in football or basketball, the predominantly African American sports, or how just a brawl. Just imagine a brawl happening in football. And imagine the coverage.
Remember the malice at the palace? That was bad. They went in the stands and it was awful what happened. But I mean, I think the coverage of it was definitely a bit biased. But I think that we all do feel, at least I can speak for myself, I feel a personal responsibility, and I always have. I remember in college, I went and did, for one of my class, I did a community service project. I tried to create a nonprofit program for Langston housing projects in Washington, D.C. And I remember it was kind of the first time I was confronted with the externalities that are experienced as a result of me doing my job. So I'm talking to the kids, and I'm in college, and I'm a good player, and I'm getting ready to go to the NFL. And there were 14 kids in there. Most of them said they wanted to be in the NFL or the NBA. A couple of them wanted to be rappers, and one wanted to be in the military. And so then I asked them about their grades, and they were all poor. And it was I don't care about that. I'm going to the NFL. And then that was the first time that it dawned on me that I'm part of the problem. And that what they see and what they understand about me is only what I do on the field. And what they see and understand about players, only what we do on the field. So they're like, all right, well, that's how I get there. That's how I get to be that person, is by focusing only on sport, which is not necessarily, it's 100% untrue. You have to develop other parts of your being to be successful. And not only do you have to, we are more than that. So if you want to be me, if you want to be Larry, if you want to be anybody up here, then it requires a commitment to things outside of just being an athlete. So I think we've talked a bunch about commitments that we've all made. And when I realized that, I went on to try to do things, including my rookie year in Denver. I wrote a weekly column for the Denver Post. And my hope was that somebody would read it. Some little kids were like, all right, I want to play football. I want to be like him. Well, he's writing all the time. Let me read this. Let me write. I actually heard from a couple of teachers when I was there that they used it in their classroom to talk about. So, that's I think we all talked about being aware that the single narrative exists about us, and being aware that we need to fight against it, which is why I love all of your social media presence, because it's very intellectual, it's very intelligent, and it's very aware of the world around you, and it makes people, and it's the actual you, like you said, it's not a cultivated image. It makes the world around us know that to be these people, you have to be more than just a really, really fast or really strong.
And I think that allows the discussion to change. That people like Arian, intellects, people like Larry who present themselves the way you guys present yourselves, it changed. We're not walking around with our pants sagging to our ankles and giving them that look. There are still people doing that, but we're some of the most successful people in our sports giving them these images. And I think that is the most powerful thing we could do.
I think a big problem is the media accountability for it. So you have three very, prestigious athletes up here at Harvard Business School talking about, politics, race, things like this. And I guarantee you this is not going to get as much coverage as Alden Smith getting arrested at an airport did. Yeah. And that's a huge part of the problem is what does the media outlets portray? The ESPN owned by Walt Disney, what do you want the public to see? So they can portray us however they want to portray us, but here you have very intellectual grown men doing great things for our sport, our people, and this will get a blip on the, on the little things on the side. It's gonna get one blip, and then gonna go right back to Alden Smith getting arrested.
But part of the problem is that, we're all complicit in that. Like, everybody in this room, like, when you're flicking through channels, if you see them walking Alden Smith into the courtroom and you see 4 guys up here talking about major issues, what are you going to stop on? Like, the ESPN and ABC and all these channels they don't care. Like, I don't think that they have a vested interest in advancing our society. And it's something that we talk about in class a lot. I'm not even sure that they should, to be honest with you. So their interest is in maximizing revenue. You maximize revenue by getting viewers. You get viewers by putting on what viewers want to watch. You guys want to watch Alden Smith get walked into the courtroom, or do you guys want to watch this conversation? So, obviously, I'm preaching to the choir by the people who showed up here.
Honestly,
So sorry for making you feel bad, but feel bad.
But honestly, in my honest opinion, I really think it's solely in the media's hands. Like, not to, I don't want to step on their feelings, but like, if you think about a guy like Tim Tebow, right? Like, he was a great college athlete, but like, he wasn't a very good NFL quarterback. Everybody that knows football knew that, right? But like, all you heard for his 3 years in the NFL was about Tim Tebow. So like you'll watch whatever's on the TV.
Right.
Like, I promise you.
Yeah.
Like, if you,
It's a chicken and the egg thing. Like,
I guarantee if they publicize this and they advertise this 2 weeks before it happened, and then they streamed it live, it would be watched by everybody in America. But they didn't, because there's no interest in that.
We can do it again.
I'm down.
ESPN and NFL Network are here, so they're more than welcome to have us on.
So Larry, you haven't really talked much about all that you do off the field, and it looks like you're looking to set records even for just the amount of causes that you're involved in. So there's breast cancer awareness and research. There is your First Down Fund, which is supporting activities for kids and their families. There's youth football support. There is the humanitarian trips to Africa that Domonique talked about. You're supporting the military. A business school professor could say you need to focus. But it sounds like you are...
Focus is good. Focus is on good. I feel, Sherman would tell you, I'm not a big talker. I don't do a lot of talking. I try to let my actions do the talking for me. I had great examples in my parents. I remember my mother taking us to some of her endeavors. She started a couple organizations in Minneapolis area, dragging us around to Circle of Love. Circle of Love was a group that she put together that for people that had just been diagnosed with HIV and AIDS, and it was a group counseling session that we put together. And my mom would drag us over, like, "Mom, we don't want to go. We'd rather been outside shooting baskets." But my mom would bring us over there, and it taught us a valuable lesson that no matter who you are, what you do, how busy you are, we only have 24 hours in a day, and what you choose to do with it is up to you. And I choose to give back and make sure that I'm setting a good example for everybody that I come in contact with. Just like when you grew up in Sherman, Fox, you guys grew up. I wasn't the best athlete in my neighborhood. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the strongest. But what I did have is a burning desire to be the best and maximize all the potential I have, not only on the athletic realm, but just as a person, as a man, as a leader in my community. And I have 2 sons I have to set examples for. There's a lot of other kids that are looking up to us, following our lead. And I think it's my responsibility to make sure I'm doing the right thing. And Arian touched on it earlier about it's not about doing what is perceived to be the right thing. My father used to always tell me that character is defined by doing what's right when nobody's looking. And so I just try to make sure I'm doing what is inherently instilled in me, and that's doing the right thing and giving back and giving up my time.
So back there, when we had our conversation, you used the term evening out the playing field, which I thought was very interesting. That as a desire to create opportunities for others. You guys are all winners in a winner-take-all market in which there are only a few at the very top. Do you think about that very consciously, all of you, in making sure that you share whatever tremendous wealth is coming your way, share that with others?
Not only the wealth of monetary wealth, but the wealth of knowledge that you gain coming from inner city neighborhoods
where kids are so boxed in that they almost see, outside states as resorts, as fantasy, as somewhere they would never travel to, somewhere they'll never get to, that would only, they can only imagine going to. And so expanding their mind to the opportunities that will present themselves outside of their neighborhoods, outside of, the places they are, not only just college, but entrepreneurial endeavors that they could be involved in, the stock market. We're talking about educating yourself financially. Financial education, financial literacy is something that does not exist in the inner city, and they wonder why a lot of people go broke. So just giving them that knowledge, the knowledge that you attain, being able to give it back to as many people as you can, and maybe, just maybe, one of those kids, two of those kids, three of those kids will retain some of that information and use it to help themselves.
I think you mentioned winner take all environment, and part of as you guys know, I was heavily involved in the Players Association. I think it was funny that Anita mentioned the money that we've made and are still making, but the people who are taking it all are the owners of the team. So negotiating, in my experience, in those high level negotiations, which is what led me to come here ultimately. So it was a great experience, but it really opened my eyes to, like you were saying, people think about people who are boxed in certain situations, their opportunity is so limited that they think about one state over as going to Mars. I'd never go to Florida. That's forever away. But it's the same thing as far as opportunity. So I thought about before I did the CBA negotiations, I thought about being an MBA at Harvard as out of my reach. But through my experience in football, I got an opportunity to sit and negotiate with billionaires who own teams and who had great success in other industries. And I was like, I'm actually smarter than you. I sincerely, my upbringing, I had both my parents and they worked really hard to give me great opportunity, but the opportunity that was afforded me is very different than the opportunity that's afforded a lot of these, the people who are at the head of industry, CEOs and team owners in this case. But once I had my eyes opened and I sat there and I was crunching numbers with these owners, and I realized that I could do it and I could teach myself enough to compete with them the night before negotiations and go in there and drop all my jargon so they think I know what I'm talking about. I realized that I actually could do this. And that was me at 27. So can you imagine when you're 10 years old and you don't have, you can't see any opportunity out most of my nonprofit and philanthropic endeavors have been around education, and the challenge isn't necessarily getting the kids to retain the knowledge as much as it's getting them to understand the value of it. So understanding astrophysics to someone who's in a community that there's limited opportunity, they're doing a fairly reasonable cost-benefit analysis. Where's astrophysics gonna get me? But if you find an opportunity, if you explain to them or show them an opportunity where studying will get them somewhere, then that's what I found is providing tutoring for the young men that I worked with in Baltimore was helpful, but we saw minimal results until we explained to them and took them on field trips and showed them here is an opportunity. This is where here's a black person who's doing this thing who came from where you came from. Then they go back to school with motivation. So it's the same thing I talked about earlier about you can find kids who play basketball from the time the sun goes up to the sun goes down because they think that's an opportunity. They're willing to commit the effort and commit the time to the opportunities that are available to them. But if you can show them that there's an opportunity in this avenue, which there isn't for many of them, we need to create those opportunities and also expose them to the opportunities, then they're more than willing to work just as hard, if not harder, on reaching those more attainable goals than chasing these pipe dreams of a jump shot or slinging a rock, Biggie reference.
Yeah, Fox touched on it. He made some valid points.
That was for the Biggie reference?
Yeah.
I thought so. Biggie always gets claps.
Fox makes a very a valid point. You go into inner city schools nowadays and you sit down with some of these children and you ask them what their goals are. I just want to graduate from high school. since when is that a goal? That should be the norm to graduate from high school. You have to aspire to reach higher and achieve greater things. So it's all about setting goals and dreaming. My parents were big on dreaming, writing your goals down. Anything you believe you can achieve. You probably get 400,000 applicants to come to the Harvard Business School, right? And probably 300 people get admitted a year.
10,000? 10,000 apply, 1,000 get in.
So the odds of making it to the NFL from the guys that start playing high school are much greater than the odds of you getting into Harvard Business School. So we beat the odds of reaching our goals, but that's not saying that that's the only way to get out of some of these communities and impoverished areas that these kids go to. So I really encourage just to step out of your box. What you see on TV, the Russell Simmons, the Jay-Z's, the Richard Shermans, the Arian Fosters, yeah, those guys are great and they're achieving their goals. But there's a lot of other things, a lot of other avenues you can explore that are just as successful as the ones that we're doing as well.
I think a huge hurdle that we have to pass is that kind of self-reflection of our communities. So I'm in business with this lovely woman that she came from Harvard Business School actually, and she's having a startup company and it's doing very well. And I went to her grand opening and I'm just kind of mingling around her friends and family and people at the event, and they were just like uber ecstatic for her. Like I can't tell you how proud I am of her, and she comes from a very good lineage. Like never had to worry about never missed a Christmas. She was okay. But they were very forthcoming about their admiration for what she did, and we just love her. And I can't believe it. Like when athletes or anybody successful comes out of the neighborhoods we come out of, we come back, and it's like, well, what you got for me, man? Or you changed, or it's just like a totally different dichotomy on how we're viewed from the places that we come from. Our support system is nowhere near as good as a couple class levels up, and I think that's a huge problem. And we have to educate not only our kids but people surrounding our kids. I not only had to fight the odds, I had to fight the adults and their odds, and them constantly telling me about the odds. So it's like a cesspool almost. Like you have to fight your way out of that, and it's like a huge, huge hurdle.
So you talk about forming a partnership with this HBS alum. Any of these opportunities that you guys are pursuing, whether it's for-profit or non-profit, typically involves partnerships. What have you learned about how to choose between these partners, or what makes for great partnerships?
Trust. I mean, it's while they're all better football players than me, I have more experience, or I have a great deal of experience in business, so I'm going to claim that as being better, whether it's true or not. But I think trust is in a couple of. So I've used Twitter and social media a lot to find startups, especially that I think, because I think the what I offer a lot of startups is access, especially sports and fitness related startups, is access. So when I email somebody at any of these companies, or I email or I call these guys, they pick up the phone. So, and then there's a bigger platform, and then there's also the experience that I've had in the business of sports, which, as we know, and I've talked to Professor Gracer about it, it's very different than other businesses. But and like I said, I use Twitter a lot to reach out to these companies, and actually a couple of them are here now. Atlas is one of the wearable companies. Peter's in the front row that I reached out to him on Twitter, what's up? I like what you're doing. You need some help? And so I've been helping him out a great deal. But I think that being able to the partnership is about trust, and being able to realize what your assets are and what their assets are, and see if there's a way that you guys can work together and make those and combine those assets, because there's no way that I'm gonna learn to code as good as someone who's been doing coding since they were a kid. But there's no way that Whoop is another wearables company that's here that I'm working with. It's no way that when Will emails somebody or reaches out to Richard Sherman that he's gonna necessarily get a reply nearly as quickly as I would. So I think that understanding that there's value, that we offer value, even though we may not have been in the boardroom or we may not know how to code. There's a great deal of value that we can use to help separate these startups, and in my case, startups, and also, like I said, doing some like consulting for sports-related companies, understanding what your value is and fitting in and not overstepping what you, or over-promising what you can do, and having high expectations for them, which is something that we all know. It's one of the great things about, I think some of the military guys that are here also understand this, is we take coaching well and we don't get our feelings hurt, which all the teamwork activities that we do here, I've learned to be more tactful, because the world that I come from is like, you win or you lost. Like you either broke up that pass or he caught the ball. Like there's no, working in teams here is a lot different because there's so many other variables, and then there's like emotional sensitivities. I need to, like, the fact of the matter is, like, you fucked up. Like, you were supposed to order it, you didn't order it. But I can't. I think that the startups and the companies that I'm working with now, I think they appreciate that they can call me and say, you said you were gonna get me this, you didn't get it. Like, you fucked up. And I can say, you're right, I'll fix it. And that trust, I think, is what builds like a good partnership.
For me personally, how I choose, I don't like to get involved with things or companies that don't align with my like belief systems. So I'm very the wonderful lady from Harvard Business School. She's going around the country and promoting financial literacy and has a startup company about giving financial plans to the average person. You don't have to have millions of dollars for you to have a financial plan, and it's promoting that financial literacy and making it available to everybody. And I'm also teamed up with a company called Health Warrior. They provide a great source of protein and omega-3s for just like a healthy snack bar, just like a healthy snack. So I remember I had a radio show, a weekly going on through the season a couple years back, and you have to get companies to buy spots. And my business manager calls me and says, hey man, McDonald's wants to buy like X amount of spots if you just come do the radio show at their place. And I told him no. He's like, what do you mean? Like this will be good, we don't have to sell any more spots. And I said, nah, like how am I gonna do a radio show at McDonald's and they dishing out diabetes daily? Like I can't, I just didn't want to be a part of that. And like a lot of people, I appreciate it. I know, and I'm not knocking anybody who endorses McDonald's. It's just not what I like want to be a part of. McDonald's, I think, is a huge problem. All these fast food chains, and I know it's easy, and there's a whole bunch of other topics we could get into. But just for me, I just think it's very counterproductive endorsing something that I'm trying to fight. So like I'm trying to use my platform the best I can to help people in their circumstances and like where we come from or whatever the case may be. I just want to promote healthy, good living, and if it coincides with what I believe in, I'll probably partner with it.
Authenticity is extremely important. Arian touched on it there. You have to have people that ideals align, because your vision will not be able to grow if there's no alignment. And so, I met a very influential person in Bill Austin, who's director of the Starkey Heron Foundation out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And over the years, I've just shadowed him and just watched his moves and how he's able to build relationships and get people on board to help grow his ideas and build his brand. And he's been a valuable asset to me just as I mature and hopefully be able to continue to raise my foundation to the heights that I know I'm capable of achieving.
I think we have time for one or two questions from the audience. So if you're smart looking, I might actually call on you. Shannon.
Question for Arian. As you imagine, there's a lot of stock traders walking around this campus, and so it's interesting news. It was interesting news last year when it came out, your partnership with Fantex and people trading shares of you. Can you just speak about what led you to that partnership and kind of what your expectations of that is moving forward?
I'm not allowed totally to delve into it because it has to go through the Security Exchange Commissions and it's regulated by the same people that regulate Wall Street. So legally, I'm not allowed to delve into it. But I can tell you that my goal as an athlete is to get not only athletes, but kids aspiring to be athletes to start thinking of themselves as businesses and not just athletes. When you come out of college, you're getting $1 million contracts, $100,000 contracts. Not many, any school that you study in or any field that you study in is offering that kind of money coming out. So start thinking to yourself as a business. And as a business, like she said, I signed a $40+ million contract. So I have employees that I pay for certain managing finances, trainers, massage people. Like all this is making sure that my business is running properly. And so when you start thinking yourself as a business, you start making decisions differently as a business owner. And I think that's my major goal as an athlete, is trying to push that getting not only just everybody to view athletes a little differently. So that's my.
Yes, over there.
Yeah.
Joey.
This one's directed towards, I guess, Arian and all of you guys. So, Arian, you mentioned that you like to support, a lot of startup initiatives that are aimed towards making people's lives better and, just improving things. What would be your feeling, in an initiative that is aimed towards, trying to create an idea of how to exercise, how to diet, and how to do everything like that in, at a large, basis towards people that they could access that type of information?
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I think the problem you run into is, it's
a pitch competition, Joey? It's a pitch competition?
No, not at all. No. I'm basically, sorry.
I ain't mad at you, man. Shoot.
It's a businessman.
I would too.
No, yeah, I guess.
No, I think I'm all for it. It's the problem you run into, like when you're dealing with business. You have to see a business plan. You have to see exit strategy. You have to see all of these things that I would want to see before I just go and give my time and my resources to. So every helpful and beneficial product or anything that we try to delve into, we thoroughly examine it.
Send it to me, I'll get it to him.
I'll talk to you guys after. But by the way, Richard Sherman, you're my favorite cornerback and my favorite football player of all
I
time.
appreciate it.
I love the message you represent. Yeah.
Okay, someone get the microphone from this guy. It's not going to end well.
I appreciate it.
I'm sure that Richard appreciates that coming from you. But I never told you this, but at the Super Bowl, I was in the box with former President Clinton, and he was saying,
I'm saying, he didn't have to say that.
We can stop. We can stop
Just
there.
said you were at the Super Bowl, man.
I just wanted to say that. No, but President Clinton was saying how he believed you were misunderstood and you were one of his favorite players, so sorry, Joey, but President Clinton said the same thing that Joey said. It just was a lot cooler the way he said it. But I just wanted to share that with you because I thought, it's important because he's a thought leader and he didn't have to say that. We were just watching the game and I think you came up, they showed you or something. He was like, yeah, that guy. No one asked him. No one set him up. He just that guy, he gets a bad rap. He's a really smart guy. He works really hard. It's he came from Compton, right? And I was like, hey.
Appreciate you.
I was like, I wish you knew some more about me, but.
Oh, there's real love going on there. Good.
Joey now has social capital.
There you go, Big Joe.
Yes. There's a question over there, yes.
Hi, I'm Christine. I really appreciate all of the issues you guys have taken up, social welfare issues, athlete welfare, race issues. I'm wondering if your position as NFL athletes has certain drawbacks in that maybe there's issues you'd like to take up talking about, but you feel that your position as an NFL athlete doesn't allow you to do that, particularly since the NFL is a media beast in and of itself. So concerns about your personal employment disallowing you to say something you might want to say over Twitter or another social media.
I'll go. I feel like pretty much everybody up here, especially myself and Richard, man, I'm at the point in my career where I don't really care anymore. I used to be very aware of I don't want to say the wrong thing to the wrong people, but it's everything I feel I'm gonna say because let's just be real. I could if they cut me today, I'll be perfectly fine for the rest of my life, and I'm okay with that. So I feel like I have a responsibility now to push some of these issues, and I will, and I do. But I think that does hinder a lot of people, especially NCAA athletes. Like they're afraid to talk about it because of the lashing they may get from the NCAA. But I'm outspoken for them. I wish more would come out, and I think you will see more people come out.
Yeah, I think you'll see that change a little bit, because the lashing we've taken isn't that crazy. You see us still walking, talking, moving, grooving. Rapper too. But I think people, the fear of the backlash and the media perception and the judgment and the criticism is starting to get tempered. I mean, how much bad can you talk about a person? How much negativity can you bring to a person? You keep bringing negativity, and I keep taking another step and another step to positivity. After a while, you get bored of it. You can't. Okay, he's a thug. Okay, he's laughing at us, calling him a thug. Okay, he's a bad player. Okay, well he's not. Okay, he's so you can only. The criticism eventually stops. It eventually turns around and turns to positive. It turns into a platform for me to deliver a positive message to people. So I think the answer to your question is no. I mean, I really don't care what the league thinks, or I won't break any rules or go over any boundaries in that respect, because they'll just take your money. And I mean, they're like, oh, they'll fine you in a Mississippi Minute, and it won't hurt them. They don't care. Oh, he made a great statement, and he hurt our brand. Bam, fine him $50,000. Say it again, so we can fine you $100,000. It's in that respect, you don't want to break the rules. But there are no rules on free speech. I can say the NFL sucks. They can't say what they're gonna do. They're gonna fine me for that. They can't fine me for that. That's free speech. Now, if I curse or if I say a vulgarity towards somebody or on social media, they can police that.
There's a lot less restrictions on what you say than you think. I mean, you can say and do pretty much what you want to do, as long as you're not breaking the law. Obviously, the more productive you are as a player, I mean, your leash is a lot longer than, you say a guy that's just making the team on special teams. You can kind of step out the box and do more. But, I mean, they really don't critique you too much on the things you say or what you want to talk about on Twitter, your preferences, your likes or dislikes. They kind of let you do your thing, to be honest with you.
Yes, over there.
Just have a quick question, and it's not a very smart question, so I apologize. But I'm just curious.
That's the way to ask a question right there. Yes, introduce your question. Perfectly done.
Obviously, you guys see a lot of value in social media. That's why you're here. That's why you're all very well respected, well read. How do you guys deal with all the negativity, the vitriol that's constantly on social media? I think it's easy to say, "Oh, I don't care. I don't look at it," but in a sense, it has to affect you, doesn't it? Or am I wrong?
I wouldn't say it affects you. I mean, with exposure, there's the potential to be exposed. We put ourselves out there with our thoughts and our ideas and our beliefs, and there's going to be some negative kickback. There's going to be some things that are going to be said about you that you might not appreciate or like, but that's life. I don't care what you do. There's not everybody who's not going to like you. Not everybody's going to love you. There's going to be some people that are going to have some things to say about you. But as a man, you have to deal with what you believe in.
I think we're tougher than you imagine. So I think I've many times go on Twitter asking for negativity, because I think it's good. If you're in a circle where all you hear is positivity, I try to surround myself, especially here, with people who don't want to ask me about hey, how was football? And they think it's super cool, because everything that comes out of my mouth, they also think is really cool. So I surround myself with people who are confident and people who are willing to criticize me, because you grow from that. And I think Twitter, although the criticism that you receive from Twitter aren't always that articulate and are often full of vulgarities and
misspelled words.
Yeah, misspelled words and disrespect.
Autocorrect gets us all, man. I was banging for the fans right there, man.
The fact that it's there means that it's at least the way that I see it is that there must be a kernel of truth there, even if it's the smallest thing ever. So when I get those things, and like I said, sometimes I request when I kind of reworked the Pro Bowl, the way the Pro Bowl worked with with some people at the NFL. One of the last things I did as president of the Players Association, when it was announced, everybody on Twitter was like, "Oh, this is awesome! This is gonna be so cool!" And I remember tweeting like, "Can somebody like hate it because it's not perfect? I know that there's holes in it, and I know that the 20,000 that follow me. I know that of that 25,000 that somebody in there is smart enough to figure something out and have me focus on something new. So I mean, I don't necessarily see it, although it hurts sometimes, to be honest with you, it's kind of annoying and you want to like go and like, because Twitter allows you to be like an internet thug. Like you wouldn't say that to me like that. That's bothersome, but I think that it's good. Like you need to get knocked down a peg every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. It's sometimes an opportunity to laugh at people. It is, because I can't say anything to them, without getting the backlash and the slash. And sometimes I don't mind the backlash, if I'll make a valid point, and But some of the stuff, it's just, I hate you. It's like, oh, that wasn't even clever. Like, at least be clever about it. I appreciate the cleverness, and I'll sometimes respond to hate and just, that was nice. I like the way you put that, And then the person will be like, oh man, I'm really just a big fan. I just wanted to see if you'll respond.
All the time.
And so a lot of times you just have to take it for what it is. You have to be entertained and take it with a grain of salt. You can't sit there and let everything affect your emotions and every person that says they hate you. You think on game day you don't go to the sideline and have fans, oh, you freaking suck. Well, I just scored, so obviously I don't suck too bad. And you never let things like that affect you. It's part of the game that's always part of it.
That's what always kills me, man. It's like you'll go to the stadiums. Like I was, no offense, but you was playing the Patriots, right? And so like these dudes like, here, okay, we say you nigger. I'm like, man, you got black people on your team too. I don't understand. What your goal here was? But no, I mean, I think fans just like they just get emotional. They type away. Like I think it's fun. I enjoy interacting. Like I remember, I had put a Gandhi quote out there, right? And this is when I knew I was like, all right, I'm done taking Twitter serious. Like I put a Gandhi quote out there. Someone was like, man, fuck Gandhi. I'm like, what? How like, you can't do that. How mad of a person do you have to be to say fuck Gandhi? Like, I was like, man, he got way bigger problems than me, man. I'm just gonna let him have it.
Well, I wish I could say something negative about this panel because you guys obviously love negativity. But I think we all have to conclude that these guys were really the superstars that they were built to be. Please join me in thanking Richard and Ron and Arian.
You had a good question.
Yeah, let's get that question.
Yeah, Professor, you had a question for us? I saw you raise your hand.
I did.
This is going to add another 15 minutes to the panel.
Guaranteed not.
Okay, good.
I'm Professor Stephen Gracer here in the marketing faculty, and I work at what might be called the other end of brand building, which is protecting, defending, or maybe even restoring. So my question has to do with reputation and in part your notion of consequences. Have you or do you or the business people that you work with ever think about the aspect of what would happen if it isn't what you said, but maybe something that you did that in fact would affect the commercial value that you have as highly talented top performers, as being in a very visible sport and having ostensibly clean reputations, but others have had problems. Do you ever think about that and how you kind of anticipate protecting, defending yourselves if that were to come to pass?
You want to touch it?
I mean, I think that I can speak for everybody here that I think we're well aware of that and the decisions that we make. Like, I think planning for something like that to happen is impossible. No one ever thinks that's going to happen, and you make the best decisions you can to mitigate putting yourself in that position. That's the best way I can think of it.
I think the best, I guess, planning for what you could do is being transparent to begin with. So when you do make a mistake, it's like, all right, I made a mistake. But like before, I wasn't this all-American, like doing everything everybody's supposed to be doing. And then when you make a mistake, it's like, you have a blemish. I think you be you to begin with. You know, if you like to have a beer, say you like to have a beer. If you like to drink, say you like to drink. If you like whatever, just be you. And then eventually, I think people are more forgiving of people who are genuine.
Yeah, I think I agree. Same. You can be transparent, and people can understand that we're humans. You know, we're not some kind of machines that are perfectly built to do everything. We do the same legal things you do. You know, you get a guy for going out and having a beer, then you remember the day you went out and had a beer. You get a college kid for going out to his dorm and having some drinks and partying with his friends. Well, then you don't remember when you were in college having parties with your friends. If you're transparent and you're human and you show people the human element of who you are, and you know, people forget that. You know, I think they put superstar and athlete and all that in it, and they erase the human element. And so once you restore that human element, then people give. It's easier to mitigate it. People have a human forgiveness.
I did want to take a second to thank Anita, and we got another panel in like 45 minutes, so we're going to have to get out of here. But thank you so much, Anita.
Thank you.
Thanks to you guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.